Welcome to the ArchiFrame New Features video. We'll be going through some of the latest features and software updates in ArchiFrame. With the new Adjust feature, you'll be able to shorten and extend planks quickly and precisely. In order to shorten planks, choose the planks to adjust, draw a line across them, and then select which side of the line to keep. To extend, choose the planks and simply draw a line. In addition, simultaneous shortening and extending can be now done with a single line. Adjust can also be done using lines drawn with Archicad. Several lines can be used in different configurations. V-cut anchor. The V-cut can now be anchored. As before, the V-cut can be applied in any 2D view, element drawings included. Here we'll apply it in a section view. For demonstration purposes, we'll elongate one plank and make the cut only to this one. One could also cut all planks if they were visible and active in the view. By default, the V-cut will not be anchored just as before. However, now it can be anchored by modifying the cut in the machinings list. The V-cut can of course be anchored already when creating it. Now we're going to be going through some of the changes that we have made to the Custom Elements dialog. To the right, we have the old version, and to the left, we have the new version. Starting at the top section here, we have deleted the new button and moved duplicate and delete to these two icon buttons. They work the same way. Basically, when you duplicate, a new composite is added to the end of the list. Then there's some extra functionality here, like delete all, save as, and copy selected composite as XML. We have moved all those to the bottom of this list. So clear is delete all, copy to clipboard copies the selected composite of XML to the clipboard. Import is the same as add types, so you can add additional composites from an external XML file. Export will export to an external XML file. The next section is the layer list. This was here in the old dialog as well, but we have made quite a few changes here. For example, the core layer is now very visible. We have marked which side is exterior and which side is interior using red and blue colors. In the old dialog, the layer side was baked into the layer type. We have removed that, so now the layer type is just the layer type, and the layer side depends on where it is relative to the core layer. To add new layers, you use these buttons. This one adds a new layer to the interior side, and this one adds a new layer to the exterior side. It duplicates the layer and adds it to the end of the side. This button is new. It switches the side. It can be useful if you create a new composite from an existing one and want to mirror it. Then you can just press this button instead of moving every individual layer manually to the correct side. We have also moved the delete button to each row. This settings button is the old edit new type, which opens the layer dialog for that layer. This list has not changed. Layer ID, anchor settings. We have just moved them. So these are anchor front, anchor back, follow layer. The follow layer functionality has changed a little bit. Now you can only follow layers that are on the same side. Interior layers can only follow interior layers, exterior layers can only follow exterior layers, and both sides can follow the core layer. we have also removed the empty space option and added it as a layer type. So if I want spacing between two layers, I can duplicate a layer and change it to space. Then I get an input field where I can define how much spacing there should be. The next section is the settings list, which was here before. We have moved it under a drop-down and also added a grouping for every settings option. This makes the list easier to navigate compared to before. Now there are logical groups for every setting. We have also added checkboxes for settings that previously enabled or disabled other settings. Additionally, we removed the Enable Editing checkbox that you previously had to click before editing any field. Instead, if you edit anything and then press OK, you will get a notification showing which composites were changed so you do not accidentally modify something you didn't mean to. Next, we can continue to the layer dialog, which is quite similar to the old one. We moved the CLT and weight settings here, which were previously located elsewhere, and changed the terminology a little bit. So, layer type is now based on. The settings are located here at the top. The default options are also visually different now. We made them clearer by using checkboxes. Working with classifications, categories, and properties. We got this template file from one of our Canadian users, Ironwood. Thank you very much. This Archicad wall has classification of external wall panel, and then categories, design option, and properties listed here. Let's place a new element. We got all the classifications, categories, and properties copied from the originating Archicad wall. The design option is actually a property that was copied amongst all the others. Let's have a look at our own element definition to enable working with these ones. For the composite, we have a setting for what to copy to the core layer. You could set different options for other layers, but now we are following the core layer setting. Then let's have a look at the online manual to see what the number 7 means. It is a combination of these values. We included all, 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7, meaning all classifications, categories, and properties are copied from the source Archicad elements. Let's see what is copied to the core layer. Here we have setting copy props, and number 5 means that we are copying properties and categories, not classifications, because for each plank we want to define their roles in the element. Things like stud, bottom plate, top plate, and so on. Let's create planks and switch to the element drawing. Here you see the settings for one created stud. The defaults came from the parenting ArchiFrame element object. Classification STD comes from the XML material list setting the classification. Design option is taken as it was. Then there are mostly new classification STD specific properties like the member number, which is maintained with custom Lua script to match with the sequence number in a plank's ID. In the ID XXX is the ID of the owning ArchiFrame element. STD comes from a custom renumber script that takes it from the part's classification value, and number 3 is the sequence number. When we cut the stud into 2, ArchiFrame clears the IDs for cut pieces, so let's update the whole element to get new IDs. The new piece has the same settings as the original, except for the ID. Let's have a look at the boarding. ArchiFrame has assigned the classification to plywood. The settings have been copied from the parenting ArchiFrame element object, and finally some have been set by the settings file ArchiFrame.boards.xml. It should be placed in your own settings folder. Please see the manual section 18 board settings file ArchiFrame.boards.xml for an example of this. Let's look at the content of that file. This is the definition for a single board type. The board type ID links the settings file with your own boarding type. This section is applied to newly created boards. We set some object parameters, classification, define the boards as non-load bearing. To find these magic Archicad guides, please search the part of the guide from the online manual. Finally, we set a single property. Here you see the A-test property and structural function. XFix is a connector to connect cross-laminated timber boards together. ArchiFrame supports the short ones, not the ones that are typically used in wall corners requiring a special blade for your CNC machine. Please find XFix homepage from the description below. We will place some 90mm long stock ones. You will find the 3 standard types from the end of the plank type list. Select the correct one and place it to the end of the board. Then move it 200mm inside from the board edge. Multiply to have 8 pieces. Again, end it 200mm from the board edge. Then group the XFix pieces. This is a rare situation when it is okay to use Archicad's solid element operations as I am using now. CLT boards are the targets, and XFix pieces are used to cut the targets. Now the connections are clearly visible. You can export these only as Hundiger BVX files, and the result looks like this. You can export XFix connectors only as BVX files for Hundiger Cambium. The result looks like this. Board rows can now be staggered automatically. Please keep in mind that this function is compatible only with boarding strategy number 2 or its equivalent starting from the right-hand side, 258. The keyboard shortcut Option-Shift F1 will open the manual for help with the stagger parameter settings. With this one, you can define the minimum width of the first board of the staggered row. It's also possible to use the remaining part of the last cut board as long as the given minimum size for it allows. In this example, the last board width is less than 1 meter. Since the boards are 2.4 meters long, the remaining piece is wide enough to span 2 column widths, 1.2 meters. Boarding strategy 4. Boarding strategy 4 creates only rectangular boards. In order for the boarding to completely wrap around the edges of the openings, additional studs are needed. This boarding principle requires main framing rule 1 or 9 for the studs, and opening support for the additional studs by the openings. New weatherboards have been added to the default palette. For tailored weatherboards, please contact us at ArchiFrame. Skylights supported. Framing around skylights is now modeled automatically. Distance to first spacing rule stud. The new framing rule setting, distance to first spacing rule stud, allows starting the stud spacing rule at a given distance from the anchor point of the element. Shared Stud Corner Rule. The new attribute DELX allows removing planks like the left and right side plank, as well as opening side planks. Let's first create the corner rules. We'll adjust the stud that will be shared by the adjacent element. Then we'll define the element's right side to include this shared stud. Next, we'll define the element's left side so that it will not contain any side studs. Here's where the new attribute DELX comes to play. The value 0.05 will remove the left-hand edge stud from the element definition, thus facilitating sharing the adjusted stud of the adjacent element. Once the rules are created, we can apply them to newly created elements. Options Default Settings. Now it is possible to set default values for option settings for ArchiFrame element composites. Simply open your own element settings palette, choose Layer, and set the desired value for the option at the bottom of the dialog. No X mark if not intersecting cut plane. Studs below the set cut plane can be portrayed without the X mark, signifying a cut surface. Set the parameter value to 0 in the plank object settings. Alternatively, define it as a default in your own data ArchiFrame element changes.xml. In order to find the parameter name, open the plank object and search for the X in the parameter list. Copy the parameter name and paste it into a new definition row for new planks in the XML file. Make sure you use the tag objparam, that's obj param, and not elem param, that's elem param. Applying all XML settings when changing plank type 1. When placing planks and changing its type, ArchiFrame will now apply all XML settings defined for the materials in ArchiFrame blocks changes.xml. For creating new materials, please see our YouTube tutorial, Creating Custom Plank Types in ArchiFrame. In this example here, we'll take a look at the settings for building material and classification. Applying all XML settings when changing plank type 2. Here are the definitions for the previous materials in ArchiFrame blocks changes.xml. Marking lines for CNC production. The new option for marking lines, extend top and bottom lines to full target surface, facilitates marking for CNC production, in cases where shorter markings aren't an option. New listing, cut info and boards listing. The new listing, cut info and boards, writes the cut angles of the studs as well as information on used boards. New settings for boards and saw cuts. New parameters have been added to boards and panels, building material, and the option to exclude them from the CNC export. CNC Data Transfer. Here we'll export a stud with the ID 400 forming a part of the element W02. The CNC export settings have been extended with new rows for data export. The context-sensitive keyboard shortcut Option-Shift F1 opens the manual for documentation on the alternatives. Let's see how we can export usage or type. While we're at it, let's add the plank's short ID, i.e. without the element ID prefix. Any object parameter value can be exported. Let's add machining information. Let's make a simple cut in order to export that particular data. To find the name of the object parameter, we'll need to open the object and look for the name in the list of parameters. Special characters might be interpreted differently in different software. If using special characters, please see the ArchiFrame manual under Special Parsing Rules. Thank you very much for watching this new features video. We hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to contact us at support@archiframe.fi.